Hello, how you doing, my Bradley? I hope you are doing well as always. What am I doing? Right, basically, I was going to do a different type of video. Basically, I wanted to talk about gain, which I will be today in this video. But what a lot of people do, they end up using too much gain, where the notes are so compressed you can't kind of make out what you're kind of hearing. And a lot of the times, you know, our favourite guitar players and the sound you hear on records and whatnot, it's a lot less gain than what you think. Now, for example, Angus Young, you know, he's got a great rock and roll tone and he doesn't use that much gain. You know, I mean, I'm not a super geek when it comes to Angus Young, but I'm pretty sure he's probably got a Marshall of some description turned up, and it's more the kind of the power amp cooking as opposed to the preamp. So what I mean by that, he's turned the master volume up and got the kind of, if there is a gain on it, that kind of lower, but he's got those valves kind of cooking that way. Early Van Halen as well, you know, he's, you know, quite a heavy rock guitar player, not as much gain as you would think. And that's obviously where the guitar playing technique comes into hand there, you know. So like with the amps I use, I don't use much gain, and then so I've got to kind of rely on these bad boys to kind of get me out of it. And if my technique's down, I'm going to sound a bit more sloppier than usual. If that does happen, I usually just slow down. You know, if I want to play fast and, you know, my technique's on it, all the notes are going to cut through. But with the amp I'm using, so I've got my Hampstead Artist 20 here. I was going to plug in my Cornford, but I haven't got much time, so I just I'm using this. Now, it's hard to kind of get a bad sound with this, but how I have it set up at the moment, and you know what, actually, let's get the handy cam for this. So these are my settings at the moment. I've got the kind of gain just shy of 12 o'clock there. I've got the bass kind of kicked up about just before 1, treble just past 12 o'clock, and I've got only a little bit of reverb going on here, and I've got the master relatively low. I've just been shooting another video and I've just left the settings how they are, really. So that's how it is, just my pure unadulterated sound happening. And obviously I've got my Gibson Les Paul here, and with just the amp going, it sounds like that. So it's a bit more crunchy than what I usually would have it, but for the moment, let's say we want a rock and roll kind of tone. That kind of stuff, and then I can still clean it up nicely. That kind of stuff happening, you know. Very nice. Now I've got my guitar socks, and I've got my Boss SD1 here. Now I've got the volume gunned quite a bit. It's kind of like 4 o'clock, nearly 5 o'clock, and I've got the drive, so it'll be at 9 o'clock. So only a quarter of the way up there. Now so there, more volume, less gain. I could probably get away and turn that drive down a little bit more. but you know, you're kind of... You know, it's not as much gain on the record than what you think. Now if I start turning that drive up here on the pedal up, so say I can do a complete 180 of it. Now in your room, bedroom, practice studio, whatever, it would think, yeah, that's so much more rock. But in a band situation, you know, you've got a lot of frequencies competing with each other. You know, you've got the bass obviously competing for the low end. You know, the drums, you know, they're usually so high, they're smashing the cymbals so damn high, but that's all the frequencies going on there. If you're playing with another guitar player, you know, or a keys player or something like that, you know, you've got a lot of frequencies. Now that sound on its own is all right. You know, but hopefully you can hear through the SM57 here that it's a lot more gain. You know, the sound's a lot more compressed. So that was like, this is our organic tone on the bridge pickup. Now if I roll that drive back to where I had it, which was here, back up to no, 9 o'clock or 3 o'clock, sorry. So that's kind of more of a heavy lead tone, really, isn't it? But I think having it at that 3 o'clock level, and it does make it harder if you want to do some lead stuff. But the sound's so much better. If I try and do a very similar thing, but putting it back up at 3 o'clock. I automatically play different. Automatically, it feels different under my fingers. But also is a lot more compressed, a lot more gain. But you can see I have another pedal here, the Duane 69, which I like to think it's, what's the word I'm looking for? Not many people know about it. You know, I feel like I've found a gem there. I haven't seen anybody else use this really. And I found it secondhand and about 4 months ago, and I love it. It's a great pedal. Now, if I set this one up with a bit more gain than this Boss SD1 has. So if I kick this in, it's a lot more kind of thicker, which I can get away with making that a bit more bright actually. So, right, so I've got it a lot more thicker. Same volume, but if I kick them both in, but you can still hear all the notes. You know what I mean, yeah? So this can be my rhythm sounds. If I want a heavier rhythm sound, I can use this. If I want to just use a lead for that, obviously I've got a boost here. I'm doing a bar chord, but it's not mushy, you know. If I got a load of gain going on, not quite as nice there. You know, I still got the pedal on, as you can see. Turn the volume down. So hopefully this is kind of making sense here. So experiment, but don't have so much gain. Obviously, if you're in a thrash metal band, ignore everything I'm talking about. Okay, you know, but if you're a rock and roll, blues, rock and roll kind of player, you know, funky rock, whatever, from Lenny Kravitz to Prince, to Gary Clark Jr., to Joe Bonamassa, you know, all those type of guys, Clapton, it's a lot less gain what you think. Even no, with fuzz, if I kick this in, I'll actually set this up so I don't know how loud this is going to be. Fuzz is, I mean, it's a completely different kettle of fish, isn't it, fuzz? So there is a lot more kind of noise. But you can still hear the notes. If you add too much gain, or for example, if you're getting your distortion or overdrive from your amp, and you have your gain, say on 10, and then you've got your master volume really, really low, it's going to be such a compressed sound. But if you have your master volume up a bit more, obviously in bedrooms, whatever, it's harder to get it kind of cooking, or if you're in an apartment or something like that. But even, you know, have the volume, put your gain low, and then turn your volume, like say on 1, turn your master volume up, say put it up to about 3 or 4, as opposed to just 1. And then turn your gain up to the point where it can get loud enough, and I expect there to be quite clean with a little bit of grit on it. But that's good. If you can get good at playing guitar with, you know, no kind of crutches, whatever. Like I say, there's my amp. Hopefully you can still hear all the notes there. You know, one of the nicest compliments I ever get is about, you know, people like my guitar sound or something like that. How do you get that? And, you know, I don't use a lot of gain. I remember when I was about 17, 18 years old, and a guy I taught came and saw me play with some of his mates, and I kind of went up to afterwards and said, thanks for coming along and that. And he said, oh, my mate was saying, oh, you're a good player and whatnot, but you use a lot of gain. And all I used then was my Marshall JCM 2000. I had a Boss, and actually this Boss SD1 here, right? And I would have the gain on the amp, you know, cooking quite a lot, and I think I would have the level and drive roughly about that, about 1 o'clock. And when I had a solo, I'd kick that in for more kind of sustain. So yeah, I did have a lot of gain, and by him saying that, I was like, oh, I don't want to sound like I've got too much gain all the time. And from there, it just started coming down and down and down. So yeah, that's my thoughts. A quick little video. Hopefully some of it's made sense. But you know, like I said, by having that lower and kind of turn that up, my neck pickup there. It's a cool sound. If I want a bit more, you know, I can stack. This is called stacking. So it's not. It's feeding back a little bit, but it's not super loud, you know. If I, yeah. want that. Very rarely will I have the two going on like that. Depends what I'm after. You know, with something like this, I've got a boost, so and if I want to do a solo, I'll kick that boost pedal in. My volume lift there, you know. Same thing as that. If I've got that on a lead, I'll kick that in and then turn it off for rhythm. You know, only if I want to go nuts would I really stack it so much, you know. But anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I say a quick random video. I don't know how long this is going to be, but I think it's important not to use too much gain if you want that kind of blues rock kind of guitar tone. It's a lot less gain than what you think. Anyway, I've been Mike Bradley. Thank you very much. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Why haven't you done so already? Anyway, take care. Mike Bradley signing out.